morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Toro's webinar on how to electrify your fleet. If you have any questions, please make sure you're putting them in the chat or the Q&A, and then they will be answered. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you this morning our panelist, Paul McCallum, Regional Sales Manager for Canada.
Hello, everyone. I assume if you're visiting us today, it's because you have an interest in going into the battery version of gas-powered equipment. This is a big question these days, and there's a lot of different choices out there and a lot of different things going on in the industry. This morning, I'm just going to go through mostly my experience with how these questions have been answered sort of in general over the last couple of years. And you can ask a question throughout the presentation if you like. It's probably even better that you do. Just put it in the chat because that's where we'll be dealing with that particular topic, and everyone's mind will be fresh about it. So it is I really do want an interactive session and really sort of be useful to answering your questions. So okay, so we are assuming that you are thinking about making the switch, or you decided to do it and you want to know how to go forward. Very simple presentation today on the questions you should be asking yourself, and reasons why you might be even leaning in this direction. And the reason I put this there is because with all of the talk about battery-powered equipment, it's still a very, very small percentage, like less than 5% of the commercial landscape business. It's still all gas, for that matter. But battery is growing with the first of all with municipalities and anybody who regulates it, and then with some forward-thinking, or we'll just call, maybe not forward-thinking, but there's certainly people on the cusp of innovation. They want to be using the latest and greatest professional landscape contractors. So reasons to go battery powered. Number one, regulations. So far, we don't have anything on the large equipment, but there are some places around North America where they want handheld. I know that Ottawa is phasing out handheld in over a couple of years. But then they're also looking at the larger equipment, like the zero-turn mowers and other things to go over to battery. So maybe you're being forced to go into battery because of the kind of contracts you hold, the type of places you work. You might look at it. You might be looking at it in terms of long-term cost savings, and that kind of sounds weird because everyone knows this stuff's really expensive. In some cases, you can buy 3 gas-powered units for the price of a battery unit. So how is this possible in terms of being a cost savings venture? And it is actually, if you run out your initial cost for the machine over, Toro thinks it's 3 to 4 years when you consider all the gas you're burning up, all the maintenance cost. We think that by about year 3.5 or 4, you will be now at break-even point, and the years after that with this equipment, I'm talking about the big equipment, actually starts to pay you back big time in dollars. So if you want to know some calculations on that, I put a little website there, revolution.toro.com. Battery actually does pay in the long run for the landscape contractor. And right now that site is showing American figures for a roundabout number. For Canadian numbers, just multiply what you see there by 1.5. That takes consideration. We have a different price of things, and we have obviously the exchange rate, and give you good idea as to where you're going in terms of payoff on that stuff. A Canadian version is coming soon. You want to contribute to clean air, so you're sick of breathing in the fumes when you're using this equipment. That could be a reason. Business advantage. You're looking to position yourself in a crowded marketplace. In terms of being, you're the innovative maintenance company, and you want to position yourself in the market as somebody who's forward and out there. You might look at it as a business opportunity for premium pricing for the same services you're doing with gas equipment. This is at least the way it started about 8 years ago. Landscapers were getting trailers all decked out for a electric powered crew. but they were charging a lot more for that service than they would have been charging with a gas-powered trailer showing up on site. There's a big one here, especially when it comes to handheld, the simplicity of use, just kind of the differences here, the sit down and stand on units, the sort of large units. In terms of ease of use, they're about the same as a gas. They have a little key you switch on, and the only thing they don't have, there's no choke, there's no starter. You just turn it on, wait for the right sign on the panel, and grab the controls and go. When it comes to handheld stuff, though, as you know, every time you need to use a trimmer, every time you need to use a blower, a hedge trimmer, a chainsaw, you always have to make sure you have the right gas mix in there, which is a nightmare for some. You have to know how to start it, the right process, turn the trigger on, put it in trigger lock, have the choke in. How do you make sure your choke is locked with the trigger lock? There can be some real difficulties there, whereas and then you have to pull it over and make sure you have the strength to pull it over and start the thing. And then you have the noise. So it's really nice. Contractors we find them going over to battery handheld quite quickly because it's just so simple. You pick up the thing, you pull the trigger, and you go, right? And there's none of that other problem to those other problems in terms of training the people and using the stuff on site. So, and they're also very quiet. Personal interests. Maybe you've already got your Cybertruck, maybe your Lightning, maybe you've got an electric car at home, or you've gone this way just as personally, and the next obvious step for you is to get battery powered equipment in your business. So is it right for you? You got to answer those questions yourself, and that might lead you to making the decision that I'm going to go battery powered. Okay, so you've made the decision to go battery powered, and the question is, how do I choose a battery brand? Now, obviously I'm from Toro, and I've got the slides with Toro logos on it and the whole bit. These are the questions that we wish that everybody would ask when choosing a battery brand. I'm not here to pitch Toro to you. You can research it yourself. But here are the questions that we believe are important when choosing a battery brand. There's two big considerations in going into turning your fleet to battery. One is the handheld, one is the large ride-on equipment. And now we're a brand that makes both handheld and ride-on equipment, but you may also be already a die-hard fan of, let's say, Steel or Echo or something like that. And they all have a battery fleet, of course. The important thing to do if you're choosing a battery brand, it's great if you have one brand for everything, but at least just keep the brand the same in your ride-on and stand-on fleet, and make sure the brand is the same in your handheld fleet. The reason for that is really simplicity of use and service and replacement parts and all those things. There's no point in having it in the past, in the gas world, landscapers, property maintenance companies. It's funny, the smaller they got, the more they were like this. And that is, they had their favorite, brand of trimmer. And so they would buy, let's say, a Shundaiwa trimmer, and that's the only trimmer they would ever use. But then they love the Steel BR series for backpack blowers. So they would buy Steel for blowers. Then they had their hedge trimmer and chainsaws and this sort of thing. That's not advised in battery. You don't want to have, 4 different chargers and 4 different brands of batteries, and you want to have batteries that can be interchanged between the products. You just keep it as simple as possible when choosing your handheld equipment. Choose one brand for handheld. It doesn't mean they're going to have the best product in every category, but boy, you having one battery to share across the tools, and and one easy for your dealer to get parts for them, easy to learn the system. Just do yourself a favor and get one brand for your handheld. Once we're looking into the larger equipment, and this is where companies have made the most investment to bring you good quality machines to cut the grass with. Does the brand have a history of turf? Excellent. And this is important because we get so sidetracked by the fact that we're buying and we're converting our fleet to battery. We forget what we're leaving and what we're going to. right? We're leaving great equipment. Likely you already have really good gas power, grass cutting equipment. And all you're doing is changing the power supply. So, but what you should not be doing is changing the actual mower. So make sure you get something that has a great history of cutting grass beautifully, efficiently, effectively. Make sure that whatever you are buying does not knows what they're doing when it comes to cutting grass, because that's what you do. That's what this stuff does. It cuts grass. It's supposed to make you profitable. It's supposed to cut it well. It's supposed to look beautiful when you're finished. And not everything's created equal. So make sure you're buying from somebody who knows how to cut grass. That's looking backwards, right? And you'll look up here on the right, you'll see the Toro emblem here. This is my little plug for Toro for you. In marketing, they call this the Toro bloodline. It's in all of our marketing. And it is linking to this, that we got 100 years of cutting grass, um, and that is the expertise of the Toro company, and that's why they are on. I believe it's almost 90% of all PGA Tour golf courses are managed by Toro equipment, are maintained by Toro equipment. Toro knows how to cut grass, and there is a difference, and we'll get down to how to see the difference in a couple minutes. Will the brand be there in 5 to 10 years? I think it's important to look at that, because this is a significant investment. If you think about the dollars involved in this, I think everyone's making their equipment for the long term. There's nothing really out there that's not supposed to last a long time. Like, I know Toro's thinking like 10 years on a battery unit it would be what they expect landscapers to have it for. But will your brand be there in 5 to 10 years? And a great way to sort of spitball that is look to see how long it's been in this business so far. Can the brand back up the product and after purchase support? And that, again, that's a reputation thing. You have to do your research and talk to the dealer who's selling whatever brand it is, and maybe do a little mock-up thing. And can you look up what it would be to get this particular part? Pick a wear item on the unit. Maybe it's a blade spindle motor, which is electronic in these things. Is it in stock? If it's not in stock, how long will it take to get there? How much does it cost? Those things, and find out, because these are machines, and these machines are going to fail at times. And you gotta, and if especially making money with them, you got to keep your downtime at a minimum. So find out in terms of warranty, if it's a warranty that is a true warranty that is giving you real coverage and doesn't have any sort of little escape clauses for the manufacturers making them. Does the dealer have a long history with the brand, or has the dealer jumped on with the brand as the latest and greatest thing? I think that's an important question for obvious reasons. This is again, it's a big investment, and you want to invest with confidence, right? So you need to test your dealer and test the history with the brand. Does your dealer embrace battery, or are they just trying to make a buck? And I'm just saying, there are great dealers out there, and there are not so great dealers out there. And you got to make sure that these people, because they are your lifeline in order to keep you cutting grass, make sure they fully understand their product. They understand how to solve problems, that they have the diagnostic tools, because all these things need diagnostic tools to figure out what goes wrong when something goes wrong. Is every claim third-party certified? And this is where it's very confusing, I think, for anybody looking at getting into battery-powered stuff. And again, I'm leaning towards the big stuff here. Claims are made about running time. Claims are made about battery, technology. Claims are made about overall performance. The key here is every claim made by a manufacturer certified by a third party. That's just somebody out there that they send the equipment to and say, we are saying this to the public about our machine. We need you to verify that what we're saying is true. This is very important. It's in fine print. You have to look it up, because a lot of things are being said that aren't necessarily true. And that will come out in the last point here in terms of you trying this stuff on your own turf. I say demo. Everybody's willing to bring machines to you to demonstrate them. I would recommend that you talk to your dealer and maybe have your dealer have a little demo day, or if you want to bring the brand to your site, consider having a morning open and having one brand come in for say an hour, and then bring another brand in for an hour and maybe another brand in for an hour. And so you can try these things back to back. You can try them all the time. A little bit crazy that way because you have like, all the crews of the salespeople all that on your place at the same time. I think it's better to keep it clear in your mind. Try one, try another, and then you have you've isolated each machine and figured out how they are different. And they do not all operate the same. Some are very much more difficult to control than others. One of the things that go with the battery ride-on equipment is that because it's electronic, it's a flat torque curve, and it's hard to keep them from being jerky, and it's hard to drive them in a straight line. And you just have to. Some of the companies have come up with ways to handle that, and some have not. And you just have to know what you're getting. So make sure you try before you get into something like that. Make sure to get stuff working on your own turf and try it and become comfortable with it before you buy it. Now, one of the things that was asked in the chats there was what solutions are there for charging batteries on the go? In my opinion, this is not necessarily Toro's opinion. This is what I've seen. There's not a lot of good solutions for charging things on the go without having either a giant battery or having a generator on your truck or trailer. Some companies are lucky enough to be able to plug in to the sites where they're going. The way that we suggest people think about this is to just again change the way you think about it. Batteries are buying gas in advance. So if you're going to buy a trimmer, buy it with 2 or 3 batteries. Yes, it's so that you have enough to get through the day. So try one without an extra battery. We've always thought that if you go out with 1 or 2 extra batteries for the tool, that you'll get through the whole day, and we're generally right about that. And then charge everything at night when you get home. Charging on the go, it's like, I hear some strange stories about some of these electric pickup trucks. If you get further into eastern northern Ontario, you'll find that these trucks actually, the owners have bolted a gas-powered generator into the back bed of the pickup truck, so that they've almost made their own sort of hybrid machine. Having all-day power in equipment is an expensive thing to do up front. But if you look at the length of the life of the unit and the life of the battery, it's the same, or in most cases, a lot less than gas over the long run. So it's gas up front is the way to think about that. What does somebody have to do to store the batteries properly? Batteries just cannot be in extreme temperatures. So it doesn't matter what they are. They have to be in the winter, you bring them inside. You don't leave them, in the direct sun in the summer. But other than that, they are pretty easy to manage. I want to direct you to this website here called revolution.toro.com, and you can go there, and it's a wealth of knowledge. Most of the things that are said there can be applied to tools in general. There's obviously a lot of things that are specific to Toro. Yes, we think we have amazing equipment, and we'll leave you to figure that out. I'm going to go over to the questions in the chat here. How long do batteries last? Time frame, charging cycles. Great question. Handheld batteries that run your trimmers and blowers and chainsaws, those are just like your telephone, your cell phone. Cell phones are made to handle to keep their 100% charging or charge. I think it's 500 charging cycles, and then they start to diminish their hold. So I think my last iPhone I had, by the time I got rid of it after 2 years, it was no longer holding 100% of a charge. It was holding 85% of a charge because I'd gone way over the 500 charge cycle of it. Same thing for these things. They diminish over time. If you're plugging them in once a day, that's 500 times that you're plugging them in to charge before you start seeing a diminished time period, which is, you can kind of figure out that math. I'm thinking, you know, we're seeing people, our battery's been in the market for about 4 years now. We haven't seen people replace those batteries because theirs failed yet, or weren't holding a charge yet. I am hearing occasionally people say, well, it doesn't hold what it used to hold. Well, we're getting close to 4 years now. So that's absolutely normal. On the big stuff, however, this is not written as a guarantee, but in general, we're thinking you should be able to get like 10 years out of a battery on the big stuff. And what we did with our batteries, instead of just having one big battery to power a zero turn or something like that, is we actually put it in a series of cells. So there's like 8 cells in that battery. So if something goes down on one of them, you don't have to replace an enormous, $10,000 battery. You can just replace the cell that's in there, and it's way cheaper, and then it'll work and bring balance to the other cells as well. But these are lithium-ion batteries, and they all go by the same principle, and that's charge cycles. And after a number of charge cycles, the amount of power they can store depletes over time. So hopefully that answers that question. What maintenance is required for electric equipment? None. No, it's a great question because really you have make sure your tires have enough air in them, and make sure your blades are sharp. And that's about it. On a chainsaw, you have a chain you have to sharpen. On a what do you call that? Trimmer, you got to fill your trimmer head. But they are literally maintenance free. Do electric mowers cut grass as well as gas mowers? That is an excellent question. And that's why you need to demonstrate these things and get them out there and find out. So we believe that our electric mower does cut grass as well as our gas mower. And the reason for that is that what cuts the grass is the blade and the deck engineering. And what Toro tried to do, they took a different sort of approach than other manufacturers. Instead of saying, hey, we got this battery technology, let's build a mower around it. Toro said, hey, we've got this mower technology that's already, best in class. Let's put battery power on it. It's the lawnmower that cuts the grass, not the power source. We put the exact same turbo force decks on these machines as you'll find on gas, and you'll see that the actual result is the same quality of cut grass. What technology improvements can we expect in the future? Technology improvements will likely be in the form of batteries mostly. I mean, and other power sources. We've all heard of alternative power sources that are sort of surfacing around the globe right now. Will battery be the answer forever? Probably not, right? So, but will better batteries be in the future? I think absolutely. What is the cost difference when considering a gas versus battery commercial mower? I know that in the large ones, you're 2 to 3 times as much money for a battery unit over a gas unit, depending on what machine it is. But generally speaking, it's somewhere between 2 to 3 times. There's good question here. How long will a battery commercial mower last compared to a gas unit? We believe it will last longer. And the reason for that is they are so simple in their design. They are just component replacement when you have a spindle motor that goes, there's no belt or pulley on it that wears out. It's just a spindle motor, and it's plug and play. You take it out, put a new one in, and away you go. There's 5 motors on a lawnmower. There's one for every blade, and most of these machines are 3-blade mowers, and there's 2 wheel motors. And then you have a battery that sends power to those 5 motors, and then you have a computer system that manages that power. And it is so simple that we expect these things to last a surprisingly long time. Does Toro bring a smaller, more affordable machine like a 36 or 32-inch commercial machine? Currently, there is no option between 21-inch commercial and the Revolution Grandstand. There is a 30-inch option, and a 32 and 36 are in the works. I just don't have the timeline on it. So, anonymous attendee says that their particular dealer won't bring in commercial mowers, and fairly, because the dealer doesn't believe there's enough interest in their customers or commitment from the customers. So how can we go about demoing machines if your dealer won't bring them in? It all depends where you are. So please just reach out to me and I'll help you get an answer to that question. Good one. What feedback are we getting from companies who are using electric equipment? They will tell you that in general, they just have to stop thinking like gas and start thinking electric. When it came to battery, for example, I mentioned that battery and recharging issue. They've realized that there's really no sense in charging on the fly. Just have enough batteries to get you through the day and charge at night. That was one thing, but that obviously means a significantly much bigger investment than you thought. So you pick up a trimmer, for example, and say, now I need enough. Let's say it's $500. I'm just guessing, and you say, now I need enough batteries to get me through the day. I need 3 batteries for this thing. And now you're at $1,000, so it was more than you thought. But that's just buying gas up front, and that will pay you back very quickly down the road. So they would just say, I believe anyway, that I think everyone likes it. Everyone likes that they've gone battery. I haven't heard anybody who wished they didn't. But they just had to learn to think differently about it. It's a different beast, and we just have to get used to the new technology.
So is there anything else you'd like to add this morning?
For our side, if you have questions beyond what we've talked about here and you do want to try some of this equipment, if you don't already have a local dealer, your dealer is your lifeline. And you got to develop great relationships if you don't have one already with your local dealer. But if you don't have anyone to turn, if you don't have anybody who can help you with this, then reach out to me and I'll find somebody who can help you, and we can go from there. So we'll also be featuring our equipment at the Landscape Ontario show. So you'll see the stuff there in the new product category and also in our booth. And there might be another venue where we can show it as well. And if you're going to the Grounds Equip Expo big trade show down in Louisville, Kentucky in October, we'll have all the stuff out in the demo field that you can actually get on and ride it. There's just a couple of things. Otherwise, we'll make an effort to get equipment out to you, no matter where you are. We'll make an effort. So awesome.
Perfect. And I know David Hunt has had one other comment where he mentioned that his company has already switched over to battery mowing with 21-inch mowers and waiting on the 32-inch. So David Hunt is the person that we'll connect you with who had those questions with regards to his dealership.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you everyone for your time this morning, and thank you, Paul. We appreciate your time putting this webinar together for us and for our members. We will be hosting another Toro webinar in March of 2025. Details on the webinar will be promoted on our social media channels, so be sure to subscribe to those or reach out to CNLA and we can help you with that information as well. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you so much.
Thank you.